There's a new poll out today from the Washington Post that is real bad news for Donald Trump and the Republicans. So we've started this government shutdown, and Donald Trump and the Republicans are desperate to spin it a certain way, right? They want to blame Democrats. They're saying inane shit like this.
We want to give massive amounts of money, hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens for their health care, while Americans are struggling to pay their health care bills. That was their initial foray into this negotiation.
Yeah, so that's an outright lie. That's a complete fabrication. If J.D. Vance's lips are moving and they're not, honking on a sofa, then he's lying. We're hearing complete and utter nonsense about how the Democrats are trying to take your tax money and give healthcare to woke, furry, transgender, illegal aliens. They want to steal hundreds of billions of dollars of your tax money to do that. And I said in a video yesterday that it's really fucking insulting. You are insulting our intelligence, Republicans, if you expect us to believe this shit. And of course, Donald Trump is real pissed that this shutdown happened. So he's trying to spin it as this is exactly what I wanted. This is everything that I wanted. And now I'm going to make Democrats pay. I'm going to make Democrat programs pay. Donald Trump, who, remember, when he campaigned, said that he knew nothing about Project 2025. He was not connected with it in any way, shape, or form. I had Republicans all up and down in my comments saying Project 2025 is this fringe thing. Donald Trump doesn't support it. He's not going to do it. And then immediately, after he got elected, right, they renamed it to America First, whatever. And he put Russell Vogt, the architect of Project 2025, in charge. And then now Donald Trump has said just yesterday that he was going to put Russell Vogt in charge of more during the shutdown, gutting programs, trying to deny funding to blue states, which is batshit because do you know where the bulk of our tax base comes from? California, New York, Illinois, blue states. Red states could not operate without the tax base of blue states. But Donald Trump doesn't actually care about a functioning government. He doesn't actually care about the American people at all. Remember the other day when he said that he didn't give a shit about the political violence and the division in this country that he was fomenting in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death. He said he did not care if America was divided. And this is more evidence of that. He doesn't care about you. If you are a Trump voter in a blue state, he doesn't give a shit about you. All he cares about is the grift, is punishment, retribution. He does not like it when he doesn't get his way. He wants to inflict suffering. Anyway, so they're trying to frame this government shutdown as the Democrats' fault. And it's not working. It's not working. So there's this new poll out today from the Washington Post. And normally I don't touch the Washington Post. I don't like to give Jeff Bezos any of my clicks or my money. Thankfully, a bunch of my mutuals shared it all over Blue Sky. And then a number of other news networks have covered it as well. So here's the new poll. Who is responsible for the government shutdown? This morning, I think it was 1,000-something respondents to a Washington Post poll, right? A news source that typically leans very conservative. 47% of Americans blame Republicans. 30% blame Democrats. And 23%, these are folks who aren't sure yet. They can be persuaded. That's why the Democrats have been out messaging really hard, trying to correct the misinformation of the regime, the disinformation of the regime, and to tell the American people what's really happening.
The Republicans have pursued a strategy of hurting American families, not just with healthcare, but the president was just talking to the generals, bragging about the tariffs. He said it's raised trillions of dollars. It's actually raised only about 150 billion more than the old tariff, but that's because it acts as a sales tax on America. So he's driving up the cost of things for families. Healthcare is going up, electricity is growing up, groceries are going up, and what has happened with the attack on healthcare is you have then, therefore, 8 months of families being sicker and poor. That's the Trump agenda. We're saying we're going to fight for families. That's important. It's important to say this path is the wrong path for America.
I'm not somebody who worships politicians, but I'm going to say one more time, my Senator Jeff Merkley is a man of integrity. Jeff is just consistently on the right side of history. What would things look like right now if Jeff Merkley was in charge of the Senate Democrats instead of Chuck Schumer?
Why didn't you vote for this clean CR to keep the government open?
Well, there's nothing clean about it. This is one of the dirtiest tricks that is being pulled on the American people right now. Starting today, October 1st, and throughout the rest of the month, Americans across this country are going to start getting notifications that their insurance premiums are up to doubling. We're talking about...
Say that again.
Your monthly insurance premiums are going to double for millions of people across the country.
At a time when we're already paying by far the highest prices in the world for healthcare at a time when people can't afford it right now. So what happens?
That means people getting bankrupt over chemotherapy, people going to the pharmacy and not being able to get their insulin. And frankly, it means a lot of Americans are going to be in danger. And Republicans want us to rubber stamp that. So what are we going to say to that, Bernie?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not only be in danger. Let's be clear. And I'm not, doesn't make me happy to have to say this, but there have been studies out there that when you combine doubling premiums for the ACA and then throwing 15 million people off of Medicaid and the ACA, the result is, according to studies at Yale and the University of Pennsylvania, 50,000 low-income, working-class Americans will die every single year. All right? If you don't have the money to go to a doctor and you're sick, you die. And that's what we're looking at. That's what this clean bill is about.
And so Republicans want us to rubber stamp that. And we're saying no. We need to stand up for the American people. We need to stand up for our healthcare system. And if they want our votes, they need to make sure that we're protecting every American and making sure that we can do what we can to continue to make healthcare accessible, affordable, as we work to make it a human right for all.
Yeah, Bernie's absolutely correct. There are multiple studies showing that as many as 50,000 Americans could die every single year if the Republicans and Donald Trump's horrible healthcare plans are implemented. Is that making America great again? 50,000 people a year dying needlessly. Wasn't it Republicans who, back when Barack Obama was trying to get the Affordable Care Act passed, were screaming about death panels? And now we live in a country with actual death panels where we are having fewer and fewer Americans have access to healthcare. For-profit corporations who run healthcare companies becoming more and more and more wealthy. Our healthcare is going to become even more unaffordable than it has been, and people are going to die because they can't afford care. People are going to go bankrupt at an even higher rate. Already, medical bills are the number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States, and that is going to go up and up and up thanks to the Republicans. As all of that money, right? All of that money that funded Medicaid and ACA subsidies, all of that money is being transferred to the billionaires. They did all of this to make the richest people in this country even more obscenely rich. It's entirely needless. It doesn't have to happen. It is the biggest Medicaid cut in history. And Republicans supported it because Daddy Donald told him to. We're hearing Republicans try and spin this as the Democrats' fault. When the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, they run the government. They have a stranglehold on the government. So if the government shuts down, is that not the fault of those in power with all of the control? And they've been insulting the intelligence of the American voter for the last couple of days. Now, Republicans didn't show up for 2 days in a row before the shutdown. Every Democrat was in Congress waiting to negotiate, wanting to work toward a resolution. Republicans didn't show up. They tried on purpose to make sure that the government would shut down. Republicans have to own this because it is their fault. And it's interesting to me, Donald Trump is trying to blame the Democrats now, but when we had a government shutdown when Barack Obama was president, do you know what Donald Trump said back then?
Fired. Who's going to bear the brunt of the responsibility if indeed there is a shutdown of our government?
Well, if you say who gets fired, it always has to be the top. I mean, problems start from the top, and they have to get solved from the top, and the president's the leader, and he's got to get everybody in a room, and he's got to lead. You know, the interesting thing is in 25 years and 50 years and 100 years from now, when the government is, they talk about the government shutdown, they're going to be talking about the president of the United States. Who was the president at that time? They're not going to be talking who the head of the House was, the head of the Senate, who's running things in Washington. So I really think the pressure is on the president.
Well, that aged well, didn't it? And the lies that the Republicans are now trying to cram down our throats, the American people are not buying them. Here's another look at that Washington Post poll from this morning. Who do you think is mainly responsible for the federal government shutting down? 47% of Americans blame Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress. This is more than previous polls had indicated. 30% blame Democrats. We know that this is about the quantity of the loyal MAGA base and Fox News watchers who are just hearing propaganda from the regime and are not getting an accurate picture of what's happening, which is why it's so important that you should talk to your family members. And then this 23% here too, we need to reach them with the facts. This is Trump's shutdown. This is the Republican shutdown. They're making our country actively worse. Everything they've done in 2025 has made our country worse and increased our suffering.